In this presentation, I will be focusing on painting, calligraphy, jade, and ceramics of ancient Chinese art. First, traditional Chinese painting and calligraphy use the same techniques, brush and ink on paper or silk. The finished work can be mounted on scrolls or can be done on walls, lacquerware, and folding screens. Chinese painting and calligraphy distinguish themselves by emphasis on motion. There is a right or correct way to draw, and artists must practice until these movements become instinct. There are two main techniques in Chinese painting, Shui Mo Hua and Gong Bi Hua. Shui Mo, or ink and wash painting, is somewhat like watercolor and tends to only use black ink. This was considered the most prestigious form of art and is common around all of East Asia. Gong Bi is a careful, realist technique. Unlike Shui Mo, Gong Bi is characterized as more colorful and detailed. Landscape is considered to be the highest form of Chinese painting. In the north and south of China, techniques were different. Northern artists such as Li Cheng, featured on the previous slide, used strong black lines, ink wash, and sharp dotted backstrokes to invoke the image of rough rocks. Southern artists like Don Yuan, showed here, used softer, rubbed brushwork to create peaceful scenes. Gong Bi requires drawing with fine lines first to represent the exaggerated likenesses of objects, and then adds washes of ink and color layer by layer, so as to slowly approach perfection with as few mistakes as possible. It's done on rice paper first when sketching out the design. Pencil is used before beginning the second draft with the brushes and ink. The variation in detail of strokes are important, especially when layering each wash of ink on top of each other. There are upward and downward strokes used that emphasize detailed pictures. After hundreds of years, there was a set technique made for Gong Bi painting. Lines are used first to contour the figure and determine the fine outlines of the painting. Modest colors are added to the painting that add onto a sense of nature, while flamboyant colors are used when the content of the painting has more accentuated lines. Unlike Shui Mo, Gong Bi depicts humans and animals more often rather than nature. Calligraphy is considered its own art form. It's very precise and every little detail must be taken into consideration, such as the shape, size, and type of hair in the brush, the density of the ink, and how fast the paper will absorb the ink. There are very strict rules to the art of calligraphy, and those who break them aren't considered real calligraphers. These rules are: the characters must be written correctly, the characters must be written legibly, the characters must be concise, the characters must fit their context, and the characters must be aesthetically pleasing. The piece shown here is part of the Langtung Ji Shu, which is considered the best work of calligraphy. Stone rubbing is another common calligraphy technique. They can become an entire body of creative work themselves that is framed and displayed. This involves creating an image of surface features of a stone on paper. By rubbing rendering materials over the paper, pigment is deposited over protrusions and edges. Depressions are left unpigmented. The paper used in China is made from plant fibers. There are two methods to create a stone rubbing. The first requires a dry paper that is glued to the stone with a paste made from water and rice or wheat starch. The paper is then tamped into the engravings on the stone. The other technique requires the paper to be wet and tamped into the engravings without a paste. After doing either of these, an ink is used to retrieve the calligraphy. The ink is stippled on with a cloth. The ink covers the paper without sinking into the engravings. When the paper is peeled off, the calligraphy engravings come out white while everything else is black or any other color of the ink. Jade is the primary hardstone used in Chinese sculpture. At first, it was used to make tools like arrowheads. Later, it became the favorite material of the scholarly artist class. It is used in a wide variety of jewelry arts and figure carving. The Chinese love for jade is considered greater than the Western love of diamonds and gold. The most common types of jade to use are jade and nephrite. However, jade can't be carved because of how hard it is. Instead, it must be worn away carefully, a process that is still tedious today despite modern technology. Neolithic Chinese artists used bamboo, bone, and stone, using a drilling action to wear down the jade. Nephrite is considered the better type of jade to use for elaborate work because of its toughness, and it can be used to make plates or bowls. It's such a tough material that the stone is even used to cut chains. Chinese pottery is made out of 4 key ingredients: kaolin, porcelain stone, feldspar, and quartz. Chinese kiln technology has always been ahead of the world. Kilns were capable of firing about 1,832 degrees Fahrenheit before 2000 BCE. The 2 types of kilns have been used up to modern times. The first was the dragon kiln of hilly southern China, which was usually fueled by wood and was long and thin that ran up a slope. And then there was the horseshoe-shaped Mantu kiln of the North Chinese plains, which was smaller and more compact. Every dynasty led to new advancements in ceramics. Original pieces were solid colors of white or black, then moved on to include blue and white porcelain. The Ming Dynasty explored new techniques in design and shape, as well as adding more colors and painted designs, such as in this jar shown here. Depending on what was being made or how it was glazed, the type of pottery had a different name. For example, Sansai pottery was made only using 3 colors, typically green, yellow, or cream white. However, blue could be used in place of green. This statue of a monk is an example of Sansai pottery. Chinese art is one of the oldest traditions in the world that is still practiced today. Neolithic art was basic and lacked significant detail, but over time with technological advancements, artisans have found ways to make their work more aesthetically pleasing. I'm sorry I couldn't be in class today, but thank you for letting me record my presentation anyway.